we now come to a more gentle and relaxed part of our programme, a fireside chat. And we are going to welcome back two of our favourite people, Lev from Anzu and Jane from Popcorn. Hi, folks. Good afternoon. How
Hello.
are you?
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi, Lev. Good to see you again. Jane, nice to welcome you. So I believe all I have to do is let you guys pour yourselves a brandy or a glass of wine, relax in front of the crackling fire, and or indeed a green tea, whatever floats your boat. And I will let you guys get on with it. I'll pop back in towards the end of the session, and we can pick up with any questions. But I shall leave you to introduce yourselves and, get moving.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we're so happy to be here. And I really want to welcome Jane Anderson from Popcorn, leading the monetization there. After spending several years in the field at Gameloft and Zeptolab, where Jane was also leading monetization. Thank you for joining me today. And myself, I'm leading mobile games at Anzu, in-game advertisement platform. We'll get to that a little bit later. I just want to introduce also my glass here, and then to move it back to the metaverse. Then it's gone.
And transparent.
Yeah, it's actually funny. We can play with the metaverse. I can play this all day long or all evening long, especially now with this cozy fire next to us. It's actually very cool, almost as cool as the development and evolution of the advertisement and gaming markets in the recent years. You and I both experienced this, as they say, on our own skin. Being part of the changes, looking at the acquisitions. So just to name several things that happened in the past few years. Well, let's start from the fun one. Well, GDPR, right? The introduction of all the privacy, and then Apple introduces a beloved privacy policy that the whole industry shook before and after, and still basically licking the wounds, maybe, followed by previous and recent acquisitions and mergers, like AppLovin, first buying Max, and then buying SafeDK, and now buying Mopub, who previously acquired CrossInstall. It looks like all the industry is bridging together. How do you feel about that in general? Does it make you excited?
It's been a super hot year. I mean, there was a period of like 3 weeks, I guess, when there were like acquisitions after acquisitions announced, and everything has been like on fire. I think that it's super exciting. It's been an amazing year for the advertising space. The market is consolidating. We see that like it's time, I guess, to draw a map already on the wall, of like which companies belong to which companies, because even when we were discussing it with you yesterday, it's like it's insane amount of acquisitions that have been happening, and yeah, like the companies are getting stronger. We're also a client of AppLovin, of Max. So yeah, like mediations are getting stronger. Big guys are basically getting bigger, Very excited about what's coming next.
So this is actually interesting. The big guys becoming bigger, the small guys growing and coupling up and joining the big guys. I also wonder how eventually it affects on our daily routine. I remember once sitting here actually in Tel Aviv, literally one block from where I'm located right now, talking with you about your frustration that you need to wake up in the middle of your weekend and to double check your waterfalls that nobody got crazy on ECPMs and didn't increase or decrease spend anymore. So does it Is it a distant memory, or is it something that you still do?
Well, it's a very nostalgic memory, I guess. It's been maybe like 3 or 4 years, but yeah, it's been crazy time. Like now everything is so much different. I guess it was just the beginning of the waterfall era, let's say, of the networks introducing the CPM flows and the several placements, several instances to be like put into the waterfall, and the networks were not stable with the flaws and with like how the system worked in general. Now that the bidding has stepped already into our lives, like more than half of the waterfalls are on bidding and are automated. The shift is changing. The role of the administration person is changing greatly. The ex waterfall managers are looking for more product roles. They're looking into new formats, new ways of segmenting users, new ways of offering users the rewarded videos, new ways of showing like interstitials, rewarded interstitials, like many things. And I think that all these acquisitions and all this development of the industry in the last like 2-3 years basically led us to changing our not only daily routine but our thinking as monetization people and our role in the company.
Thank you. Zara here just asked which studio you represent. So Popcore would be it, Zara. At this note, I want to welcome you to submit questions. If we kind of have open discussion, we don't have really agenda for what we want to cover. So if you want us to take that somewhere, you're welcome. In the meantime, so let's take it to the free time that was freed up and the desires of testing new grounds. So actually, can you tell us a little bit from your experience, what are the new adventures that you take on yourself nowadays?
Well, the first thing is that we can finally A/B test stuff, right? Like we have more time to test features. In Popcore, we not implement anything without testing it. So basically every single sneeze in the game is going through the A/B test, including the waterfall tests. So there are no like changes out of the blue and hoping for the best. So everything is being tested. It's very much data driven. The monetization people are way more involved in the product life, in the game design part. We're looking into the whole funnel of like how the user acquisition is doing, how the cohorts are doing, and we're basically developing more like 360 view on our users. While before we were just aiming to get higher CPMs from the networks by striking deals, by optimizing waterfalls, by testing stuff semi-blindly.
So basically, you say that the monetization, the traditional monetization stabilized, and now you can A/B test on new activities. So one new potential revenue stream would be in-game ads that are quite strong nowadays. So can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts of this format so far?
We're testing it. We didn't advance yet, and I cannot like draw like any great conclusions. I think that it's very interesting space, the native ads, the in-game ads, and audio ads as well. They kind of appeared again into the market because I think that there was like a lot of noise about this format like 5 years ago, but now with brands probably having more interest in the gaming and the publishers basically evolving more in the ad format space, that everybody knows that banners, interstitials, and rewarded videos are the standard stuff that you can get. ATT add a bit of your revenue, because you cannot track stuff anymore, and it makes all the sense to test some of the new formats to get some of the incremental revenue. I don't think that it's going to replace in the nearest future the standard stuff that we use, simply because in-game ads are not clickable, and it's more for brands than for people like us, publishers and developers, but It's an interesting stuff to look at, and it's a potential additional revenue. So why not?
Thank you. By the way, one word about in-game ads for whoever is not as well familiar as Jane and I. In few sentences, the in-game ads are meant to be ads that are displayed within the gameplay itself. For example, if you take a racing game, there will be billboards. If you take a sport game, it will be the commercials where you expect them to have. And when you take other games, such as hyper casual, different games, there are ways to implement those ads to look naturally within the gameplay. Okay, so this is about that. I see here that we have a question about subscription-based monetization model, no ads, only no IAPs, only monthly payment. What do you think about that, Jane?
Well, it really depends on the product. So basically, for this kind of product, you have to be serving content that looks more like Netflix, that the content that you're going to be consuming, and there's going to be the value of you prolonging the subscription. So it's not like you buy a game and it's a fixed product that is not being developed further. I think to take into consideration here is also that the ads is sort of an alternative payment method, because 90% of people do not pay, either because it's like, I don't know, their decision, that they're not going to pay in the games, or because they cannot afford it. So we're showing ads as an alternative payment method, and that's why this model exists, basically, the monetization model. So it depends on the content. For a casual content heavy game,
I agree. I would generally
it's up to testing. Like, really, I would say that if you have this game and your IAPs are not working already, the chances that the subscription is going to work are pretty low. So for subscription to work, you first have to see that the people are actually spending real money in the game.
I would agree on that. Also, from my personal experience, it has to be of a very high value. For example, I enjoy my subscription to YouTube, just to have it flawless, no interruptions on all the screens. But hey, it's YouTube.
Yeah, but they also offer the ad-based stuff that I bet like 95% plus of YouTube users do not have the premium access. So you see, like, to answer the question, it's both. You can choose between the real money or watching ads.
So this actually was my next sentence, that at the end, the hybrid approach probably works in all cases, going to the office hybrid approach, and also monetization models. Even if we continue to actually digest the recent acquisitions and we name drop another few mergers, take a look at Vango and Lift of Coupling Up. Voodoo, a huge hyper-casual publisher, suddenly acquiring casual studio like Bomb Beach. Zynga acquiring no charge boost, right, to streamline their in-app purchases. Looks like companies are hybriding themselves, diversing their investments.
Yeah, everybody is looking at 360 approach, getting these services around their main service, sort of.
Okay, so in your perspective, what actually, from the studio perspective, from the game development perspective, what you can do nowadays in order to open up yourself to more revenue streams, to kind of improve your potential as a game designer?
Well, let's start with talking about the standard ad formats. So if you do not have the standard banner, interstitial, rewarded video, okay, I'm gonna go through the revenue: rewarded video, interstitial, banner. If you do not have three of those, probably you need to look into the in-game data and try to look for the ways where the users are turning, into the ways how you can segment your users, offering like, I don't know, live ops for ads, live ops for.
Let's just assume that you do have those, but maybe they're not performing as well. Yet.
Well, there's always a point when it just doesn't work. Okay, I mean, if it doesn't work and you think that you did everything in many studios, and in actually all of the studios, there are the points when you just kill the product because it doesn't work. If we're talking about the optimizations of the like live and successful games, that would be indeed like user segmentation, new ad formats. It's a very interesting question because last year I would probably answer it in a different way.
How would you answer last year?
Well, maybe not last year, but a couple of years ago, I would say like try to test new mediation platforms, try to test new partners. Now we're living in such a like stabler environment that the difference between the products are pretty minimal. Of course, like you still have to have all the top players in your like mediation stack, but yeah, it's getting more and more consolidated.
So again, when I'm trying to reverse engineer and to remember what was in the past, I remember the days where actually interstitials and rewarded video was not adopted in gaming, and it gradually penetrated while I was arguing with some publishers how they could potentially implement a rewarded video when they don't have a currency or they don't have the game. So would you say that there was an evolution how the games and the studios actually adopted this format?
I think it's more about psychology of people, and people don't generally like ads, and it took quite some time for many developers to accept the existence of the ads, and rewarded video made a great job, converting people from IAP, pure IAP monetization, monetized games to the IAP plus rewarded video, and then you see the money from rewarded video, and you're like, well, I have this like long time non-payers, maybe I can start showing them interstitials, and then the banners come into the picture. So yeah, during like the past maybe 3-4 years, the exposure of the ad monetization has been growing. I think that we can hardly find any developers nowadays that do not have ads.
Exactly. So you know that at Anzu, we actually have a unique opportunity to look at the past and at the future at the same time, because Anzu serves not only for mobile developers, but also for console and PC developers. And those are actually about 5-6 years behind us, but they're the same, exactly. So they think the same way, they talk the same talk, but only back in time. So sometimes we can speak with them, and companies like Sega, Ubisoft, even EA, even some departments that have both mobile and other platforms. And actually, they're in exactly the same place where what you're just describing. Oh no, we're solely relying on our paid games, or we're just trying to flirt with ads, but we don't really know. And obviously the business people want to flirt with ad, and the game designers actually object any violation of their games. But this is funny because we already know how it will end. We know that.
But the funniest part is that we copied stuff from web.
Exactly.
As mobile game developers, we copy stuff from web. Like all the technologies that we have right now, all this header bidding fuss, it's been on web for how many, like 5-7 years, and yeah, it's crazy.
So here it's also interesting to think how the networks got away from not adopting this transparent technology for years, and they gained such power and such valuation. AppLovin, $38 billion. Iron Source, $11 billion. Really, from selling ads on our property? Tremendous in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So on the in-game environment, we actually see the same path happening now when publishers with their free time and free developed resources starting to flirt with those ads more and more. The only different part is that the demand, unlike the regular demand, is not UA based, but brand based. Do you have any thoughts or actually questions about the brands? I know that we've all heard about the brand dollars for years. I'm sure that you have some thoughts or doubts about it.
Well, I don't have any doubts about it. Actually, the brand dollars are there. You're like the publishers that just have the SDK-based networks. They simply do not see the split between the brand dollars and the I don't know, the game dollars. You know, I don't know even how to segment it, because we take Uber. Uber is a brand. It's a brand. Uber is buying CPI campaigns. Is it a branded campaign or is it a performance-based campaign? You know, but brands are the like a large portion of Google's demand is brands, a large portion of Facebook's demand is brands, and it's the same for all the networks in reality. And that's probably one of the reasons why the in-game ads started popping up again, right? That 5 years ago, the exposure of mobile gaming space was smaller for the brands guys, and the brand people, they're not as vibrant, you know, they're not as fast as mobile game developers. It took them quite some time to get used to people playing games, normal people, not like the teenagers that they see in their mind, you know, like the geeky teenagers like playing games, but actually everybody of all the ages.
So yes, you're definitely right. The brands are there, and their dollars sometimes are masking behind other stuff, and sometimes they're on the way. We just need to enable them. By the way, I have another session on Thursday on another event talking a lot about brands and how to enable them. But one thing to say is that surprisingly, all our familiar brands, the BMWs, the Mercedeses, the banks, the insurances, the Coca-Colas, at the end, they spend way more on advertisement than all the gaming industry together. Only that they spend it on traditional advertisement, which is TV, newspaper, billboards, and what also already became traditional is digital. Digital meant web. So the gaming environment is just becoming relevant for them. They're only now acknowledging, just as Jane said, that the people who are playing games are not those necessarily youngsters and only geeks. It's everyone. Some researchers show that about 78% of the population plays some games. So looks like we're kind of out of time, right? Brian here joined us to tell us exactly that.
I was here to give you a 2-minute warning, folks. A 2-minute warning. I've been listening along in the background. It's been really, really fascinating. And we've got a couple of quick questions from the audience, if I may.
Yeah. Sure.
So an interesting one I thought was question from the audience. You say we inherit a lot of tech from other places. With the growth and interest in the mobile market, do you think we'll be setting the tone for future tech and monetization techniques? Do you think the mobile sector is now pioneering the tools, techniques, business models, revenue streams that are going to feed into the rest of the digital world in the future?
It kind of depends on where the phones are going to be in the future, you know, like if the phones continue getting bigger and people continue spending more and more time there, then most likely yes. But it's more about the device, you know, like the monetization techniques of mobile gaming are basically dictated by the people's interfering with the devices, you know, and with the games that they're playing. So yeah, but anyways, like look at the console world right now. They're trying to stuff that we have right now working on the mobile.
Very good point. A very, very good point. And one last one, and it comes back to either the hot topic or the dreaded issue at the moment, which is NFT and blockchain. Have your companies been looking at this? Is this something that you think is going to have a fundamental impact on the way that we interact with games and apps in the future?
We didn't look into it very deeply. There are a lot of companies that are looking at it, and there's a lot of talks, a lot of discussions happening. But me, honestly, I don't have an opinion about it. I guess it's too early to say for now.
Yeah. Lev, do you have anything to?
Well, those very nice buzzwords, and since we're already got tired from iOS 14, it's nice to have new buzzwords. Personally, I'm not enough familiar to comment on that. I know that Anzu will eventually comment on that, but we'll take the time first.
Very wise, very wise. It's as several speakers in various tracks over the last couple of days have said, it's early days. We don't know what's happening with regulation, with legislation, where this is going to end. So yes, I think keeping your own counsel is a good position right now. Well, yeah. Folks, it has been a genuine pleasure. I was wanting to jump in much earlier, but you guys were going fantastically well. You covered so many topics. It's not an easy sector to talk about. There's so much change, the M&A, the investment, just the evolution is ongoing. So being able to sort of listen in to two experts really sort of drilling down and picking out the bits that are of interest to you, I thought was absolutely fascinating. So thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon. And I look forward to catching up with you in a real world Pocket Gamer event in the very near future.
Hopefully January.
Hopefully January. We shall keep everything we have crossed. It only remains for me to say thank you again. Lev, Jane, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again. And we will talk to you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.